Yeah, Isaac, tell me something I don't know. Welcome back. Northernlion plays the Binding of Isaac AFTERBIRTH Plus. We got back to double digits. And again, like, let's not count our chickens afore they be hatching, because you never know how this run's gonna start. Curse of the Blind, but I love having 5 bombs on the first floor. Z9JN, ZFCC. I was gonna say, like, you know, feeling every day that goes by, I feel a little bit more like a human being again. But then I thought 9 was an N. And Jackie Treehorn treats objects like women, man. Or something like that. I really, you know, if you want to talk very briefly some Isaac mechanics, I genuinely think, this is with all sincerity, that having 5 bombs on the first floor is like as good. I don't think it's as good as a Tears upgrade, like long term. But I think it's like worth more than 1 HP upgrade. I think it's worth like maybe as much as a small damage upgrade. Sincerely. I truly believe that. The bombs, you know, allowing you to maybe get a Spirit Heart early are like the lifeblood of a consistent sort of pseudo streak, because it just smooths out that variance curve where you never know on an Eden run like what you're gonna start with. So I mean, we got, it's not just Tinted Rocks, you know, we got probably second secret room access. We have shop access without spending a key if we want it, and we may. I'm kind of still a little undecided. That's fine. We'll High Priestess like right away here, and for a good cause. Because that sucked. Little luck upgrade, little range upgrade. Okay, I would say let's look for our secret room. We found it. Hoping to get something out of those pots, but no such luck. We do have 6 bombs. I don't think we have to be like too precious about it. I think this floor is coming into focus. I think the next step for us will be to go to the shop, and we're looking for nothing but a Spirit Heart. If we can get a Spirit Heart, good deal with the devil chances for our next floor. We have enough money as is, and that's going to help out a ton right there, to get an arcade on the next floor, which would also be nice, and everything's going pretty well right now. Can't really be too upset. And again, we were, if we were gonna have a bad loss, and this is an extreme jinx, but I'm not superstitious. I might be a little stitious, but I'm not superstitious. I honestly think we just leave. I don't want to buy a trash item for 15 cents if we're going to be able to see what items look like on the next floor. But I am a little stitious. Okay. Curse of the Unknown is very important. We got 2 HP remaining. Champions always throw it into a bit of a tizzy. Never know, you might be sitting at, you know, 1.5, you might be sitting at 1. It's scary. What was I talking about? I can't remember. Regardless, oh, what I was gonna say is if we were gonna throw a 1 run away, it would have happened like on the first couple of days post baby, I think, or first couple of recording days post baby. However, we didn't, because we're a good gamer, perhaps even a god gamer. I haven't decided yet. Technology 0, extremely nice. When you also have, get out of there. When you also have a good rate of fire, and then here you go. You buy a Spirit Heart. You know what? I'm like varicose veins. Hold on. Varicose veins. No, not real ones. Mayo Clinic. I'm talking about the real ones from the video game. It's when you get hit, you do like a Tammy's head, right? 10 tears are fired. 10 tears? 10 tears are fired in a circle around him. And they have a plus 25% damage bonus. Honestly, for 7 cents and to get rid of an item that we don't care about in Box of Friends, I'm like, why not give it a try? And we can only use it once every 2 rooms. Which is not, you know, particularly incredible. I honestly, I'm just going to tell you, I don't know what I got hit by. But for 7 cents, I do see this as like an upgrade. And I know you're like, what about the potato peeler back there? Oh, I don't know, man. I mean, potato peelers, it can be really nice. Nuns have it is really nice as well. Not so much with Dull Razor. It's not like that relevant necessarily, but Oh, you know what? I didn't get hit. I felt, or I heard the sound of me getting hit and thought I was getting hit, but actually, that time I got hit. But actually, it was just the sound of varicose veins, or no, the sound of dull razor working. Sorry. Like I said, much more human today. Feeling much more like a human being today. So we've gone through the floor. We've got a little monstro action. I would say, wait, yeah, there you go. Wait till he goes into outer space. You drop a little bomber boy action on him. Hit him with one of those. I gotta tell you, I don't think we were wrong to get rid of Box of Friends, but Dull Razor is not doing it for us yet. Maybe if we could sneak in like a Cambion Conception or something like that. Well, we're definitely... I mean, I think this is actually perfect, to be honest with you. I genuinely do. Because we're gonna replace Dull Razor, which just doesn't have that interesting of a synergy right now. It could come eventually, but we're not there yet. And then Abaddon is just extremely good, and we basically got it for free because we only had 2 HP to begin with, so it's all good. It's all gravy. It's probably a 2 of hearts, huh? I gotta think about this for a second. I think we want to fish for something a little bit different. Some extra money would actually make the decision a lot easier. Greed's Gullet, huh? I never know how to use this, which is embarrassing. But I think it's, like, definitely not bad. I think we should throw another bomb down here. Just to see. I think it's definitely not bad. I just don't know, like, it could ruin some of our, like... If we get permanent Polaroid invincibility, or if we get, like, a, Oh, what is the item I'm thinking of? Where you, can fly... I should know this. No kidding. Alright, so now we can afford that. You know what I'm talking about. It gives you 2 demon hearts and also the ability to fly. You'd know it if you saw it. Okay, dude, Mysterious Liquid is pretty sweet. And I think we'll just bounce. I think we're doing totally fine here, as of right now. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, Lost Soul? That's not what that item is called. Item from Isaac that gives you the ability to fly and also 2 demon hearts. It's not a Zazel. Are you insane? Anyway, it'll come to me eventually. You'll have to excuse me. My brain is full of other stuff right now, like the best ways to change diapers and, you know, proper feeding times and methods. The best burp method to push a little gas out of an infant's diaphragm so they don't get too many burps or too many hiccups. It's pushed out some Isaac knowledge. We'll just, you know, we'll know it when we see it. That's all I'll say about that. We'll know it when we see it. How are things in Babyland right now? Pretty good. Can't complain, honestly. She's doing well. Again, doing a lot of eating and sleeping. You know, everybody tells you they grow up really fast, and, you know, I'm way too close to the front of the journey to be able to say whether that's true or not. I'm sure that's the way it feels in hindsight, right? Because that's the way, like, everything in life feels in hindsight. You know, like, I was in elementary school. I mean, if you want, it depends if you want to be anal about this, I suppose. But I went to the same elementary school for 10 years. 2 years of kindergarten and then 1st through 8th grade. When it was over, I was like, man, this just flew by. What are you talking about? Oh, baby. What are you talking about? It just flew by. I graduated from 8th grade when I was 13 years old. I had been at that elementary school for 10 years. It's literally like 10/13ths of my life I had spent in the same, like, red brick building, and I was like, it just went by so fast. It's just nonsensical. Now, I'm not saying this isn't a situation where that does happen, but, you know, the early part of it, you're tracking milestones that are minor, you know? Little weight gain here or there is a good thing. You know, some expressions, like some smiling, warms the cockles of your heart. But if you're waiting for some kind of, like, I'm gonna log on one day and be like, she read, you know, a Song of Ice and Fire. Well, not till she's probably, you know, like 14, 15, I don't know. I wouldn't know, honestly. I don't know what the right age is for that stuff. I will say I've been watching a little bit of the... So I mean, two things. First off, I know I say this every time I bring up the discussion, but there's going to be an argument about whether or not I started school when I was 3. I did start school when I was 3 years old. I was only 3 briefly, you know, for like 2 months before I turned 4 in junior kindergarten. I'm not saying it as a flex. I'm just saying that I get... And there were other, you know, 3-year-olds in my cohort to begin with. Hold on, this... If we could finesse... Because I like Book of Sin, but if we can get Jar of Flies Hive Mind, that would be sick, dude. People always think like oh, you think you're so smart, you started school when you're 3? Nah, dude, I'm not working at, you know, the Large Hadron Collider. I'm not working at, you know, Caltech's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. I'm working at YouTube. I'm not even working at YouTube. I'm an independent consultant for tax purposes, you know? I'm not trying to flex. I'm just saying. Stop trying to deny me my truth. I don't think we're going to be able to get what I want to get here. So, I'm actually just going to take Hive Mind and hope we get another fly-based item in the future, but it's a little spicy. It's a little I don't know, we might have had other options there. The other thing is, though, I've been watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy on and off. Let me caffeinate here. You know, because I don't know, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but the movies are pretty long. And I was like, I've been watching a lot of Jeopardy while, you know, feeding the baby or watching the baby. But I was like, Jeopardy, don't get me wrong, I love Jeopardy. An actual contender for my favorite non-fiction show of all time, without a doubt. Definitely, like, my favorite game show ever. Most other game shows, like, after you get into Jeopardy, I really feel like most other game shows just seem banal. You know? You're like, what? So this lady, she won $7,000 by being the smartest person she knows, competing against 2 other smartest people that they know. And then somebody on Wheel of Fortune literally is going to win $40,000 for being like, oh, that's missing an E. I'd like to solve the puzzle. Orange juice. It just seems like, you know, emblematic of the downfall of our society that we're rewarding people for playing the game of Hangman. Anyway, I don't want to get into it too much. You know, if you like the show, you like the show. It's low impact viewing. There's nothing wrong with it. It's like an elliptical machine, right? But anyway, I thought, what if we watched something? You know, I'm previously in my life, I've not necessarily, at least since, you know, starting streaming and YouTubing, I haven't really afforded myself that much time to watch a lot of content necessarily. You wouldn't know it, because anytime I say that, people are like, and yet you watched so much 90 Day Fiancé. It's, what the thing is I watched like probably 6 episodes of 90 Day Fiancé in the last calendar year. I've been able to stretch that into 100 videos of content. You're looking at, it's like the difference between semolina flour and the pasta machine. I'm the pasta machine turning a concentrated dose of reality cringe into banter noodles, okay? If you don't understand that, plenty of YouTubers you can watch right now playing Phasmophobia. Okay, that's just needless. I'm looking down on them for no reason. It's just jealousy. I apologize. Regardless, what was I saying? Okay, so I thought, let's watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I've seen The Fellowship of the Ring about 30 times. It was one of the first DVDs I purchased as a young teenager, because I think it came out when I was 13. It seems right. Yeah, 2001. That seems right. But the Two Towers, I've really only seen, I saw it in theaters. I saw all of them in theaters. Two Towers, I think I also saw, like, half of on an airplane once, but, you know, when you're on an airplane, it's actually, like, peak 90 Day Fiancé time. You know, you don't want to put on a movie on, like, a 7-inch screen that is, like, and then Theoden and Balin, and, you know, it just, like... Maybe you do, but I don't. I want like, low-impact viewing, because to be honest with you, I'm not gonna, you know, remember 80% of the movies I see on a plane to begin with in any kind of, you know, long-term storage. But regardless, I've been watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy again. Man, what a great series of movies. Now, I'm watching them almost in like a Netflix way. Because, like, I'll get like an hour to watch like one. And then it'll be like, okay, time for bed. And then it's like, you know, wake up at 4 in the morning to do a feed. And I'll watch another half hour. And honestly, I think it actually helps to... Not that the movies need the help, but I think it helps to digest them a little bit. Instead of like a 3-hour burst where you're like, oh, I forgot some stuff. You know, if you get a deluge of like set pieces, they tend to have a little less impact, I think, because you're like, oh, you know, all I remember is Helm's Deep, but you know, there's also the Balrog, and there's also the Scouring of the Shire, and the so on and the so forth. I think it's been good, dude. I forgot, like, as a kid, you kind of like, you're not a good movie critic, you know, because you're just like, I think this concept is cool, and, you know, oh, Aragorn is so cool, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. As an adult, I'm like, first off, the way it's crafted, I'm like way more impressed with. You know, I mentioned, like, in Endgame, the final Avengers movie has a very fan-servicey part, like, right near the end, that I honestly, and this is, like, half ironic, but also real. But it almost, like, brought me to tears just by virtue of the fact that it's... Like, I'm looking at it not from, like, oh, what an incredible, like, comic book moment. But actually, I'm like, man, from a project management standpoint, how did they get all these actors' schedules to work together? And the catering and industrial light and magic and the, you know... It's just like, as an adult, you look at it less like, because as a kid, I think you take for granted. You're like, yeah, they made a Lord of the Rings movie, big whoop, you know, there's lots of money going around. As an adult, you're like, how did they get all these people to work together for so long in order to make it happen? It's kind of incredible. And I gotta tell you, like, there's some moments where, like, you know, the CGI ain't perfect, but it still looks really good, and it pains me to say this next sentence. Still looks really good, considering those movies are 20 years old. I know you're like, you're stupid. They're not 20 years old. They're 20 years old, dude. I'm sorry. You know, Fellowship of the Ring is 19. This November, I think, or maybe December. So they're not quite 2020, but they're like, you know, oh, they'll be 20 soon. Soon, despite having a 7-figure net worth, they're going to be making tweets that are like, turned 21 today, don't know where the time went, frowny face. Anyway, the CGI looks good. At the start of the Two Towers, there's a kind of a moment where Gandalf and the Balrog are engaging in a fight as they fall in a dream sequence with Frodo. And the CGI looks a little corny, but I'm like, considering that these movies are 20 years old, they hold up really well. And then I'm like, it's just such a, like, an expertly crafted series of films. I have read the books, by the way, and you can't take my word at value here because I read them as the movies came out. So we're talking, like, literally over, like, because I was a really cool kid, over, like, spring break 2001, I read all 3 of the books. I remember, like, when Fellowship of the Ring came out, bunch of nerds got their pantaloons in a twist because there's no Tom Bombadil section in Fellowship of the Ring. My only memory of Tom Bombadil is, I think he smokes a lot of what is now considered a legal medicine in many parts of the world. And I don't, does he talk in rhyme, or am I losing it? Anyway, I don't think it's a big loss, is what I'm trying to say. It is crazy too to think about, like, you know, that Peter Jackson, like, I don't want to say he was unproven before he made these, because, dude, I freaking love Dead Alive. Like, Dead Alive / Brain Dead. It depends on, you know, I think it's like a regional thing. The pseudo-zombie movie. I guess it's just a real zombie movie, but... And Bad Taste. Like, Bad Taste is a lot of fun. I'll admit, don't tell Mouth, I've never seen The Frighteners, and I've never seen Heavenly Creatures, but, you know, for Peter Jackson to be past these movies and then, like, you know, deliver on them so well, you know what? It makes you forgive him for The Hobbit. It's what it does. I don't know. I haven't seen The Hobbit. I've only seen half of the first Hobbit movie, which I understand is probably not completely fair. But I remember watching it and getting about halfway in and saying, this actually just sucks. And as I understand it, isn't the first Hobbit movie like the one that people actually seem to enjoy? I think there's also something to be said for, like, watching a movie outside of the frame of its original cultural relevance. I guess we'll just donate here. Like, what I mean by that is, like, in 2001, 2002, 2003, Lord of the Rings was like a cultural moment, you know? You don't get me wrong, there's special things about watching a movie during its moment. Okay, I meant to pick that up. You know, you appreciate the context more, you're there for the hype. But also, you kind of, like, you couldn't shake a stick in 2001 without, like, parodies of Lord of the Rings and, you know, just seeing it mentioned constantly. It's hard to appraise it in, like, and appreciate it in a genuine fashion, you know, bereft of whatever biases you can get away with, right? Or get away from, I should say. But watching it 20 years later gives you a chance to really look at it for, like, the kind of movie that it is, I think. For better and for worse, but largely for better, I think. Anyway, good movies. I don't know if you've seen them. If you haven't seen them recently, I would recommend giving them a shot. If you got, you know, 9 hours to kill or more if you watch the extended editions. They are on Netflix. Anyway, so that's pretty much what I've been up to. Watching Lord of the Rings movies in 30-minute intervals. And going do 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 do. Okay, this run is like, I mean, you don't need me to tell you this, I'm sure. It is completely set in stone. I don't, you know what? I'm not tempting fate. Why are we going in there? We're not gonna do that room. The one thing we lack right now is the thing that Boss Rush counters us on, which is a lack of HP. I mean, we have great HP, we just have no generator. If we can get, like, I mean, it's kind of a big ask, admittedly. If we can get Satanic Bible, I would be very stoked. Book of Revelations as well would be completely fine. The Relic would be completely... There's a lot of stuff that, to be honest with you, be completely fine. Oh, dude, I totally forgot. So we have Midas Touch. So we should be walking into enemies constantly. Sorry, I'm home right now, walking into enemies. Gotta do the contact damage, you babe. You know that one? That's Spiderwebs by No Doubt. What is your favorite No Doubt song? I think there's a few big ones. There's You and Me Used to Be Together. Like, Don't Speak is I mean, it's a good song. It's kind of like, it's not my favorite of the No Doubt oeuvre. And then there's Just a Girl, you know, from the Captain Marvel fight sequence. Well, I'm just a girl. Some kind of Cree. She's Cree, right? I've seen the movie. There's Spiderwebs, which is sorry I'm not home right now, walking into Spiderwebs. I scream my phone calls. I don't. It always sounds a little bit more like a Biff Naked song to me, but that's kind of like only I think Canadians are gonna understand that. If you're from Ottawa, we don't need the HP, but let's think with our noggin here. I'm gonna be honest. I just don't think like. The odds of that being the best option for us were high, but at the same time, we have so much damage right now, why would we throw away our HP on anything that didn't give us more HP in return, or alternatively just absolutely crush from a damage standpoint? You know, it's part of the spirit of these longer streaks as I've been improving, and I really do think I have been. Over the course of this year, we've lost, like, probably less than 10 times, I think, which is amazing for me. But just because an item is kind of good doesn't mean it's worth, you know? Like, it really seems counterintuitive, but, you know, if you're already hungry, or let me rephrase, if you're already full, let me rephrase even further. If you're already stuffed, doesn't matter if, you know, hey, a free piece of candy, you know? You'd be better off not eating it, so you don't end up throwing up in your mouth. I guess we actually killed the enemies there. Anyway, there's also we're gonna keep on dancing. That was when, I don't know, No Doubt did like a pivot to, I don't even know what genre of music you'd call it, but It's My Life. I don't know. I'm an early to mid 90s No Doubt listener when I listen to them, which is very rarely. Usually I'm in a grocery store or something. I think I stand Spiderwebs out of all the songs. It's got a little bit of like a ska type beat to it that I can get down with. Don't Speak, Don't Get Me Wrong, it's a classic. Just the Girl, look, it's kind of got the same thing going for it as Spiderwebs. I don't know, I just find Spiderwebs to be kind of more of a bop, quite frankly. Sorry, Brie Larson. Maybe that's the next step. We'll watch all the Marvel movies again. I don't know. We did that recently. Look, I love them. Well, not recently, but when Infinity War came out. I love the Marvel movies. Don't get me wrong. I'm not shy about it. I do have to defend myself somewhat. Because whenever you ever admit to liking a Marvel movie, people will be like, a Marvel movie. Interesting. The only movies I watched are Timothée Chalamet, Call Me By Your Name, Michael Stuhlbarg, Armie Hammer. Have you seen Greta Gerwig's interpretation of Little Women? Like, you can watch the artsy movies, and you can watch the blockbuster popcorn movies as well. You could be a fan of both simultaneously. It's like I love eating chicken McNuggets, and I also like, you know, a delicate, semi-soft European cheese, you know? You can get down with both. I don't understand why people feel the need to draw these hard lines in the sand. But, I'll tell you, I'm not shy to say that the Lord of the Rings movies, as movies, are better than the Marvel movies. I think that's kind of a given. But as cinematic events, it's closer. Let me put it that way. It's closer. Like, what's a better movie? The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, or Captain America Civil War? Or Winter Soldier, for that matter? It's The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. However, I don't want Peter Jackson to hear this, because he might hear this and be like, I'll hear what you're saying. More movies next time. No, Peter. So, if anything, like, less movies, I think, is the... Like, I don't think you could have done one Lord of the Rings movie and done it justice. Like, I think splitting it into 3 made a lot of sense. You probably could have even gotten a little more, but, you know... I don't know if the public can keep their attention that long for, like, a 6-year annual release of The Lord of the Rings. I guess they did it for Harry Potter, but... By the way, I feel pretty... And I didn't... I wasn't a Harry Potter fan as a kid, which honestly has aged very well. I'm like, see? I didn't know all along. But regardless, I feel very blessed that, like, both Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, those are like my childhood young adult film adaptations. That's pretty lucky. Like, if you were like 8 or 9 years younger than me, you got the Hunger Games, and like the first 2 Hunger Games movies, I think they're pretty good. And then the last 2, I think, were just boring as sin, quite frankly. But, you know, at least you got not Divergent, you know? I feel like my generation was extremely blessed with our young adult adaptations. I mean, the Harry Potter movies are, I wouldn't say they're like, guilty pleasures, but they're kind of like, you know, fun popcorn movies that have built, there's a lot of nostalgia, there's theme park rides, they're well liked, you know? But the Lord of the Rings movies on top of that are, like, considered by some people to be the best you know, trilogy ever made. Oh, they've not seen La Jetée, the science fiction film Terry Gilliam based 12 Monkeys on. Look, I haven't seen La Jetée, but I did watch 12 Monkeys the other day. It's still a great movie. Dude, Brad Pitt is he's such a good actor. And I feel like this is known. But, like, there was a time where he was resented for just being handsome. He's actually an amazing... I mean, everybody knows this now because we've gone through the Bradissance, but... Even in the early 1990s, I guess 12 Monkeys is 95, so it's the mid-1990s, but he was killing it back then, dude. Regardless, what am I talking about? Oh yeah, you know, I feel lucky with the young adult novels of my youth. I will say, you know, if you were like 10 when Iron Man 1 came out, I guess you got to have your formative movie-going years during, you know, the heyday of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is also pretty cool. And then if you're like 20 years older than me, you kind of got the same thing going, but for the Star Wars, the original Star Wars trilogy. I know you're like, well, I mean, technically to say it, I was the right age for the prequels as well. I just still, to this day, don't think they're very good. Although, you know, I hate to be this guy. I'm talking about Star Wars here. I hate to be this guy. As much as I think the prequels have become vastly overrated in cultural memory, and I do want to be clear, I really like Revenge of the Sith. I think that's like, I think it's better than Return of the Jedi. I don't know why I talk about Star Wars, because I have like 3 Star Wars opinions that make everybody very angry. And that's one of them. I'm like, I don't really like the prequels. People are like, boo! And then I'm like, oh, I think Revenge of the Sith is good. They're like, yeah, let's go! And then I'm like, Episode 1 is way worse than Episode 2. I know Episode 2 is boring and cringy. Everyone goes, Episode 1's got Duel of the Fates. Episode 1 has the pod racing. It's true. Those are... Well, I don't even think the pod racing is that impressive. But the Duel of the Fates is awesome. Okay, I'll give you that. However, the rest of the movie is Jar Jar Binks, like, literally getting his tongue stuck in machinery and then going, like, you know, oh, Misa saved the universe. You know, it's just insulting. The second movie is boring, but at least it's kind of like... It has a workman-like quality to it that I can kind of respect. So people boo that one. And then I go, yeah, I like Revenge of the Sith so much, I think it's better than Return of the Jedi. And people go, boo! And I go... But at least it's not the sequel trilogy, and people go, yay! And I go, I mean, come on, The Force Awakens was okay, Last Jedi was great, but then they just can't keep to one coherent vision, and then people are like, wait, did you just say The Last Jedi is great? Boo! You know, I'm just saying. If you were a light nerd in the early 2000s, it was a pretty good time. And by light nerd, I mean, like, you know, I mean, obviously, like, you don't have to be a nerd to like Harry Potter or Star Wars or Lord of the Rings. I will say, of all of them, Lord of the Rings is the nerdiest for sure. It is, I'm sorry. Like, it's possible that you could think Star Wars is nerdier, but I don't know. Harry Potter is definitely way more normie, but... You know, we had the Harry Potter movies, we had the Lord of the Rings movies, we had the Star Wars movies, we had Spider-Man 1 and 2, X-Men 1 and 2, I choose not to count 3. Anyway, it was a good time. For now, thanks for watching. Hope you guys have enjoyed. If you did, click the like button, helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. See ya!